Good morning, meteorologist Bob Acanfrio with today's tropical update for Sunday, August 5th, 2012. Well, we're still talking about Tropical Storm Ernesto out there. If you heard my video yesterday afternoon, it looked for a while there that Ernesto was really going to get its act together. It's kind of been on and off through the eastern and now central Caribbean. But then just of course, as I put out the video, Ernesto really decided to collapse, basically. And at this point, we barely have a tropical storm on our hands, and I'll show you that in a minute. As of 11 a.m., we have Tropical Storm Ernesto, maximum sustained winds 50, pretty generous. Looking at the satellite, we'll have another Hurricane Hunter in there this afternoon, and they might find even a weaker Ernesto, and maybe even barely a storm. So we'll have to see. Still a swift movement west at 23, and that's an issue in itself. 15.0 north, 77.1 west. So here's the current forecast tracked by National Hurricane Center. Not much changes. Again, it's starting to run out of time to really become a hurricane here, because two things are going to happen. It's going to have to start really getting itself together, and then secondly, since this seems to be a little weaker system right now, it could run farther west. And then what do we have here? Well, we have land. We have Honduras, Nicaragua here, and it's very possible if this stays fairly weak that it could just run right into Central America here, then run back up towards this way. You know, we've seen, if it slows down, we have seen storms strengthen here between Belize and Honduras here, which is possible, but then again, it could just run into Central America and die and be done with. This weaker scenario right now tends me to believe this system's even going to come farther south. Definitely taking Louisiana out of the picture. I almost wanted to take them out yesterday, but that little glimmer there was way too early for that, and I said, no way. We'll just keep them in one more day. They're out. South Texas still in a slight bit. We'll have to see. I'm still thinking right now. I said if it was going to get stronger like yesterday and today, I would still keep South Texas possibly in the loop. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. So this really looks like a Central America, Mexico type system right now. And it looks like it's going to stay far south of the United States. But again, just want to watch it the next day or two. If it could get some steam to it, it could try to sneak up this way. And then we always have to keep extreme South Texas. So if you're living in extreme South Texas, still want to just keep one little eye on it. But it's looking a little better today for that. So what do we have on the visible satellite here? We have an exposed center, and you can see it right here, outrunning the deepest convection, which honestly is not that deep either. System's very, very disorganized right now. So here's the low-level center, and we can really follow this today, still moving swiftly to the west. And like I said, if it stays weak, you could see it might even run into Central America before you know it, and that's a good possibility. And we've seen the GFS and the Euro keep suggesting this farther south movement, pretty much west and west-northwest. And they may be right all along. You know, never discount those two models in the end. And we've seen systems here, and as I told you before this even got into the Caribbean, it was going to be touch and go in here. It always happens. We get, and you almost could see the inflow here from the south. A lot of drier air across South America here. Always seems to get entrained into these systems and knocks them down. Hurricane graveyard down in here. And you know, when they're this far south in the central and in the Caribbean, it happens. And also the speed. So between the speed of the system and that dry air, it's happening. Climatology tells us it happens down here, and what you know, it's happening again. So here we are. So now we'll have to wait and see. Is it going to come back? Definitely has to slow down. Should start to slow down by tomorrow. If it can slow down in this area here, there's a chance it could still develop. But then I'll show you another caveat here in a minute. So it's really a wait and see on Ernesto. Definitely better news for the United States. And we'll have to see if it ever gets to become a hurricane or anything from there as we go along here in the next couple days. And here's the shear, and this is what I was going to show you here. We still have our upper trough here in the Gulf. It has backed up a little bit to the west, but again, Ernesto really does not want to run too quickly into this, because you could see if it keeps racing to the west, then it's going to start encountering a stronger shear in the western Caribbean. So we'll have to watch that as well. Could be a 1-2 punch for good old Ernesto here, but this should start backing off a bit to give it a little window of opportunity. But we'll have to watch that as well. So Ernesto has a lot of obstacles to overcome here in the next few days if it wants to ever become that hurricane. Big upper trough here in the western central Atlantic. I want to just show you this real quickly because look what's peeking over here. Little Florence. Poor Florence. Some southerly shear, southeasterly shear affecting it. Running into a lot of dry air. You've seen it's just kind of, the convection's just almost gone from this system. Very disorganized right now as well. So it's going to have two bad things ahead of it. It's going to have dry air and then it's going to have this big trough. God, I would highly doubt if Florence could survive. But again, we'll have to see. Long way off. Definitely going to go north of the islands. And then from there we'll have to see. But really at this point, no worries for Florence as of anything affecting the United States at this time. The bigger picture here, the water vapor loop, just to show you. Still a lot of dry air here out ahead of good old Ernesto. We'll have to see if you can overcome that. Upper trough here in the Gulf of Mexico. Vigorous tropical wave. This was 91L a few days ago. Just dumping, and I know this for a fact because it woke me up this morning at about 5-6 a.m. Tremendous amounts of rainfall here across the East Coast, especially the Northeast Florida East Coast here. Jacksonville Beach has been underwater this morning. Personally, me here in St. Augustine, we have gotten a lot of rainfall, especially along the coast. So, putting a big damper here on the weekend plans. Look at poor Florence getting choked off by the drier air, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised in a couple days or even less than that. This might even just be a remnant low before you know it. So, Florence not looking all that good, and there's poor Ernesto right there trying to come back. All right, model runs here, Ernesto. Nothing's really changed much. We still have GFDL and UK Met, the northern outliers. No way this is going to happen. You could just cross this right off here. We're going to be grouped right down in here. You can see the National Hurricane Center is pretty much with consensus. The Euro and the GFS, I'm not going to show you those, but they're right down in here as well with a pretty weak system. And like I said, if it could get its act together here and doesn't run into land, we might see it kind of try to sneak up more towards this area, but it's not coming up here. No way, it never was. So it's mostly, here we are, we're going to be looking at double landfall, one landfall. We'll have to see what happens here. Intensity models, why show this, right? Who knows? They haven't been too accurate. Our GFS and Euro models have been doing so much better with this. But I'll show you this anyway. We still have the LGEM right up here towards a Category 2. We'll have to see. A lot of them have come down, though, in their intensity forecast, which definitely, you know, the most we could get out of this maybe a Category 1 if it could strengthen soon. Category 2, I would highly doubt it. So quickly, Florence, here she is, way out here. Max sustained winds at 60 at 11 a.m. Very generous. I highly doubt that. West at 14. Here's the official forecast track. But again, it could just be a remnant low here before you know it. Long way off. Doubt it's going to ever affect the United States. Here's Florence satellite view. You could see it's dissipating slowly here. Convection really waning. Still a nice little circulation center, but it is starting to die a quick little death as it gets choked off between a little bit of southerly shear and some drier air. And if you look at the model runs, here they are. If it does get strong by some unknown reason, it's going to hook out to sea with that trough. If it stays weak, it could come under that trough, and you know, maybe in about 5-6 days could be located north of the islands here. Then, of course, then you never know what's going to happen, right? We've seen these systems try to survive, but Florence is going to have a long way to try to survive out of this, and you know, long way down the road. We'll have to see. Well, that's it for my update this morning. I will have another update tomorrow for you guys. Have a good Sunday. Take care.